Clark and Stephanie White definitely had a situation where they was in a heated exchange right before halftime. Guys, for this one here, we got to go all the way up to Indy. Let's get it.
Caitlin Clark just had enough of the chaos, and when she finally spoke up to Coach Stephanie White at halftime, everything changed.
That's what you got there. Now here is Clark. Eyes ahead. Lob inside. Finds Boston right on the money.
The Fever turned the game around completely against Atlanta, but the real question is, what went down in that intense halftime exchange? And why did some teammates suddenly flip the switch and start playing like they actually cared? The answer might shock you. So what really happened between Caitlin Clark and Coach Stephanie White in that locker room? Let me walk you through it. Because what unfolded in Indianapolis wasn't just a game, it was a powerful reminder of how one player, fed up with the dysfunction, can single-handedly shift the entire energy of a franchise.
On the street is that Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White exchanged words going into halftime of this Atlanta Dream game. Now, I'm here to tell you, no footage has emerged of the altercation, but I'm pretty sure within a couple hours it's going to be roaming somewhere out there that this exchange happened.
So, here's what we know for sure. Multiple eyewitnesses at the game, not just some Twitter trolls, saw a real heated exchange between Caitlin Clark and Coach Stephanie White as they walked toward the locker room at halftime. And before you brush this off as just another online rumor, hear me out, because it actually adds up. Word is, Caitlin flat out told her coach to bench Kelsey Mitchell and Natasha Howard, calling them out for refusing to move the ball. And honestly, props to her. Somebody had to say it. Because if you've been watching the Fever this season, you know, it's been brutal for anyone who actually understands the game.
Caitlin Clark and Stephanie White were having a heated discussion at halftime. Word in the street is Caitlin Clark told White to sit Kelsey Mitchell and Howard because they don't pass. Could be true. Caitlin went to tie her shoe. Like, that is something that I noticed. Like, Caitlin literally, when Natasha Howard had the ball, she didn't even look. She was basically walking back on defense. She essentially walked back on defense every time Natasha Howard had.
Let's rewind and look at what really led to that boiling point, because Caitlin Clark didn't just snap out of nowhere. She's not some emotional rookie who lashes out without cause. She's been trying to operate inside a motion offense that completely fails to leverage her elite skill set. Game after game, she's being ignored when she's wide open, stuck in a system that feels more like it's built to neutralize her than unlock her potential. And then came that halftime turning point. After the reported conversation with Coach White, everything flipped. The Fever exploded for 59 second-half points, their highest scoring half in years. That's not just a lucky stretch, that's a message. But what really makes this whole situation more intriguing is a seemingly unrelated team video going around, where players are asked who they'd call in an emergency. Not one of them named Caitlin Clark. Not one. Now, it doesn't confirm anything by itself, but when you stack it next to what allegedly happened at halftime, it paints a troubling picture of team chemistry. Before halftime, the same old issues were front and center, Clark getting the ball with 3 seconds left, being ignored even when she had better position, and the same stagnant ISO ball that drags everyone down. But after halftime, the ball started moving. Caitlin got early touches. Players actually started looking to pass instead of chasing their own buckets. It was a completely different team, and that's not a coincidence.
Bounce back win for you guys. What was working for you so well, especially in that second half offensively?
Yeah, I mean, I thought we just played with a really great pace. I thought we moved the ball. I thought we cut hard, which opened up the three-point line for us, and then we knocked down some shots, but also I thought our defense was really good. So I think it was both sides of the ball, and kind of felt like how we should get back out there and play, every single game. I think 99 points is, probably the most we've put up in quite some time. I think somebody said 59 is the most scored in a second half in, quite a few years now. So
it felt like we were watching a completely different team out there. And here's what really stands out. Natasha Howard, who's been getting major minutes all season despite some truly questionable decision-making, was suddenly glued to the bench for most of the fourth quarter. And Kelsey Mitchell? She had 22 points heading into the final period, and barely touched the floor when it really counted. Now, some people might try to brush that off as standard coaching adjustments, but let's be honest. When players who've had free reign all season suddenly get benched right after a fiery halftime confrontation about ball movement, that's not just strategy. That's a direct consequence.
It was only a matter of time, bro, that Caitlin Clark was going to obviously have words with Stephanie White. We noted that she's been running this motion offense, and Caitlin Clark cannot get in the rhythm. A lot of people thinking Caitlin Clark hurt. I don't believe she's hurt. I believe Caitlin Clark cannot simply get into rhythm. That's why she has not been shooting very well. And I was one of the first people to tell y'all this was going to happen. Told y'all about a week ago, Caitlin Clark was going to come back. And if nothing is going to change, we're going to see the same Caitlin Clark we seen right before injury. And sure enough, this is the same Caitlin Clark we seen right before injury, bro.
What's truly frustrating about all of this is that we've been watching this dysfunction unfold for months. Caitlin Clark went from being the most efficient player in all of college basketball to suddenly struggling with her shot in the WNBA, and everyone's so quick to chalk it up to her needing time to adjust or develop. But here's the truth, if you actually sit down and watch these games closely, you'll see a player being misused by a system that doesn't fit her at all. In college, Caitlin had the ball in her hands, dictated the pace, and elevated everyone around her. Now, she's being shoved into the corner while teammates dribble the life out of possessions. She's getting last-second bailout passes and being expected to pull off miracles. That's not a developmental curve. That's organizational malpractice, plain and simple.
There's 4 threes in your last 7 games, but tonight 4 of 5. What got you into the groove tonight in this game?
Hey, you know what? It's about dang time. Let me tell you that. I have my shoot. It's been a second. I just think for the team, you know, we've had a lot of injuries. We've had a lot of movement. When C's playing, it's a whole different team. And when she's back, you know, we got to catch our rhythm. She's a heck of a player, but we got to find ways to get her involved, but keep people hot. But, you know, for me, it finally felt good. It felt good. Like I said, my family's here, my sisters, my best friends. And so it just felt good to have my family here. So I thought I should do something tonight.
You certainly did something. The 10 rebounds.
And the saddest part? When they finally let Caitlin Clark play her game, the difference was undeniable. That explosive 59-point second half didn't magically happen because Kelsey Mitchell morphed into Steph Curry. It happened because, for once, the team actually played through their best player. They gave Caitlin the ball and let her dictate the offense, just like they should have been doing from the start. What really stood out, though, was Caitlin's post-game interview. Total class. She praised her teammates, talked about ball movement and playing with pace. But if you read between the lines, it was a masterclass in subtle, diplomatic criticism. She emphasized the very things that were missing in the first half: movement, pace, cutting. Every compliment was also a quiet call-out. And then there's the big question mark: the coaching. Look, this isn't about personally attacking Stephanie White. She's a respected basketball mind and earned her position. But the truth is, sometimes even good coaches and great players don't click. And when organizations fail to acknowledge that, problems just fester. The motion offense White insists on might work with another roster, but it clearly doesn't fit this group. Caitlin Clark is a generational talent. Just her presence creates opportunities for everyone else. Designing a system that limits her touches? That's not just a mistake, it's basketball malpractice. And the supporting cast hasn't been set up for success either. Take Kelsey Mitchell. She's a gifted scorer, but she's being asked to create off the dribble and force tough shots, when she should be thriving as a spot-up shooter off Caitlin's playmaking. That's not on her, that's a system issue.
When Natasha Howard had the ball, she didn't even look. She was basically walking back on defense. She essentially walked back on defense every time Natasha Howard had the ball. And by the way, if you guys didn't see Natasha Howard is a veteran who's had success in this league, but watching her constantly make poor decisions with the ball while Caitlin Clark stands wide open has been downright painful. There was even one possession where she literally played help defense on her own teammate. That tells you everything you need to know about the confusion and lack of cohesion on this team. But the most encouraging part of this situation is that Caitlin seems to have finally reached her breaking point in a constructive way. Instead of sulking or demanding a trade, she apparently had a direct and honest conversation with her coach about what needed to change. And to Coach White's credit, she actually listened and made adjustments. That's a step forward. But here's the concern: one good half of basketball doesn't fix months of dysfunction. The core issues, the system, the ball movement, the team hierarchy, those don't disappear just because you win one game. The real test is whether this becomes the new standard or if they go right back to their old habits. Because let's be real, we've seen glimpses of what this team could be all season long. The problem has always been consistency and a commitment to playing the right way. And for anyone trying to turn this into some kind of drama or personality clash, let's set the record straight. This isn't about Caitlin Clark being difficult or demanding. It's about a generational talent being forced to operate in a system that doesn't know how to use her. Think about the greatest point guards in history. Did Magic Johnson stand in the corner? Did Steve Nash only get the ball with 3 seconds left? Did Chris Paul become elite by playing off-ball? Of course not. They succeeded because their teams built everything around their strengths.
But the Indiana Fever are doing the opposite. They're trying to force Caitlin into a system instead of building a system around her. That's not just bad basketball. It's bad business. Because when you've got a player who can change the trajectory of your franchise, you do everything in your power to amplify her impact. What we saw in that second half against Atlanta, that was a glimpse of the potential. Ball movement, pace, Caitlin running the show and making everyone better. It's not complicated, but it does require buy-in from everyone. And now the big question is whether that adjustment was a one-time thing, or the start of a new direction. Because if they go back to the old ways, you can bet this won't be the last tense moment between player and coach. And honestly, good for Caitlin for speaking up. Too many talented players stay quiet in the face of dysfunction because they don't want to rock the boat. But sometimes, change only comes when someone stands up and says, "This isn't working." The fact that they instantly looked better after she spoke up says everything you need to know about who was right. Results don't lie. And while some people are busy talking about the drama, I'm more interested in what this moment represents. It represents a player who cares about winning enough to have hard conversations. It represents leadership, accountability, and maybe, just maybe, a team finally turning a corner. Speaking of leadership, let's talk about Aliyah Boston. Amid all the noise, she's quietly been the perfect example of how to thrive alongside Caitlin. She understands her role isn't to be the focal point, but to complement what Caitlin does best. Just watch her off-ball movement, setting screens,